Happy Wednesday and welcome to another edition of Husker Online Headlines. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple. We got football on Friday. It means that we're here a little bit earlier for you guys this week as we delve more into what's going to be sellout number 400 in Memorial Stadium, Illinois coming into Lincoln. It's a nationally televised Friday night game. The only other time Nebraska has played a non-Black Friday game during the week in Lincoln was the 2001 Rice game on a Thursday night, and that was because of 9/11. So it's kind of a historical day in a lot of respects. Also, Steve Sipple, headline number one, this will be the first ranked matchup in Memorial Stadium in over a decade. The previous two ranked on ranked matchups, 2014 Minnesota, they were ranked 25th in the playoff poll, and then the 2013 UCLA Nebraska game. So we haven't seen a lot of ranked on ranked football in Lincoln. It's been a while, over 10 years.
And this is somewhat of a surprise, actually, Sean. The Illinois, somewhat surprising that Nebraska's ranked, honestly. And then
Illinois,
I would say really surprising that Illinois is ranked. Most people figured Illinois would lose to Kansas in its second game. It got that win, and it got a ranking. They're 24th, if I'm not mistaken, right? And Nebraska's 22nd. So kind of unexpected development in terms of the ranking, but it's created, I mean, the game would have been big anyway. It just adds a little zest to it. So as you would say, let's delve.
Well, and I think for Fox,
let's delve.
They're probably really excited. I mean, they've kind of gone all in on this Friday night deal. Usually Friday night games in the past have been on FS1 or ESPN, BTN even. You don't get them on network television. This is and Fox comes out big last week. They had Kansas State and Arizona and Manhattan. Massive game, two ranked teams. Here we are, week two ranked teams. So the executives of Fox are like, hey, we look pretty smart right now. We've got two ranked on ranked matchups on Friday night. Kansas State, Arizona drew a really respectable number, and I would think that this game will as well, just with the intrigue of this matchup. And for Nebraska,
is there intrigue? Is there national intrigue?
I think it's a ranked on ranked game.
Yeah, there's some. Tim Brando on the call. There's some. It's Nebraska at night. And I would say this, Sean. When a guy's flipping through, and that's what we do in America, right? We flip through on TV. We just whip through stuff. When they get the scene in Lincoln, some people will stop and go, geez, this is big, right?
There'll be nothing else in this country going on that has 86,000 people in one setting.
100%.
And that's true.
That's a good
that's
way
a
to
fact.
look at it. Yeah, there's no Major League Baseball game that's going to draw.
I mean, there'll be good crowds at MLB games, but nothing that will have this kind of scene. And don't kid yourself, it will be full.
Okay, and not only that, and I do this all the time, but I'm going to do it again. There'll be excitement. There'll be buzz when you hit that channel. And I'm the master at this because it struck me about 2 years ago when I'm flipping through games. Some are loud, some are ungodly quiet. I mean, it's just like, wow, that crowd's not into it. There's nobody there. Then some are medium. But then you hit some, you're just like, whoa, this is the game I'm watching. And this is that type of game. It'll be packed and it'll be loud. And it'll be at night. The scene will be great.
What's unique about this Friday night game is generally the cathedrals of college football don't host Friday night games.
Right.
I mean, usually you take it to a smaller stage.
Yeah, Alabama's not playing on Friday.
No, but they're not hosting.
Yeah.
And they're not playing. And I know Tom Chattel wrote a good column this week just saying how Michigan shouldn't be able to dictate that they don't play on Friday. Well, the networks aren't going to let Michigan play on Friday. They need them on Saturday. They're worth too much money on Saturday for Fox, NBC, and CBS.
Let's face it. Michigan can swing that hammer. They can swing that hammer.
They can swing it, but they'll never fall to Friday. This is not a ring around the rosy, take your turn thing. This is right. Let's figure out the best lineup every week that draws the most TV ratings so we can keep paying you the money you guys are getting.
Yeah, but I understand why Michigan and Ohio State say no, we're not. If Nebraska ever, I can tell you because I've heard Troy Dannon talk about this. If Nebraska ever gets back to winning big, he'll swing the hammer and say, no, we're not playing Friday. He will. He has said it. But you got to win.
Yeah, usually these Friday night games in the Big Ten are at Rutgers or Illinois, Maryland, just places that generally don't draw like Lincoln.
Yeah, that's nice. And I no, it's what I liked about this conversation is the very apt description of Nebraska Stadium as a cathedral. It's a cathedral of college football.
Cathedrals usually don't have mass on Friday. Usually Saturday.
Right, exactly. So it's a little strange, but it's great for Fox. And it's great for it's not. I don't know. Some Nebraska fans probably aren't altogether pleased, but it'll be a great scene in that stadium on Friday.
In fact, it'd be hard to get this number, but I'd love to know, like, in the history of Thursday, Friday college football, take away Thanksgiving weekend, how many places will draw better than what Nebraska's going to draw for this game?
The number of people in the stands or the rating.
The number of people in the stands.
Okay, yeah.
It's just really unheard of anywhere to get 86,000 on a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Black Friday. That's not Labor Day weekend.
Right.
I mean, it's
amazing.
In the Labor Day weekend is different. I think people treat that differently, and same with Black Friday. But this is in the heart of September, and they're going to be playing on a Friday, and this state will embrace it. I mean,
they'll embrace it, and they'll embrace it in part because I think this fan base feels like the program's on the rise, and that's always a fun time to be a fan as part of a program on the rise. I think that's what fans are sensing, or they have just ascertained in their mind from following the program. This is a program on the rise. It seems like it is. Now, I would say this. I still will think it's a program on the rise if they lose the game. I still will think that. But it's good to get tangible evidence. And that's what people are looking for. That's what Nebraska fans are looking for. That's partly why there'll be so much excitement. And see that guy that right there pointing? See that guy? Number 15? A lot of excitement with Dylan Raiola.
I thought you were pointing out Adam DeMichael there for me. You're going to be pretty impressed.
Nope, number 15. Number 15 has generated some excitement.
I think that was Adam DeMichael, right?
I don't know. I'm hoping you're right.
The support staffs, that might not have been. I think it is, but the support staffs are so big.
Please
now.
Cover your tracks there.
Cover my tracks. Before we take it to headline number 2, Husker Online Headlines brought to you by BetterHelp. Sometimes life just gets you. You're stressed. You've got a lot of things built up, and you need somebody to talk to. And there's no better way to do it than with therapy. BetterHelp offers you a great way to get this done because you do it on your time. You do it online. You're able to kind of pick your therapist to find a good fit for your needs and what you want to do. And, again, it's on your time. You can figure it out. It can be late at night, early in the morning, whatever day of the week. BetterHelp is there to help you when you need the help, to have someone to talk to you about some of the things you might be dealing with in your day-to-day lives. And we've got a great deal for Husker Online Headline viewers. Just go to betterhelp.com/Husker and you'll get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/Husker. And they're going to give you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. Thank you again to BetterHelp for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Okay, let's take it in to headline number 2. It's going to be a big day as well because it's sellout number 400 at Memorial Stadium. And, it's been a long time coming. Over 60 years, the sellout streak has happened. And, I think there's some people that questions how Nebraska's gotten to 400 with some of the things they've had to do to maybe sell tickets for youth and do other things over the years. But you're in that stadium with me every Saturday, and it's full. I mean, there is good attendance at this stadium, and this is truly a celebration for Nebraska. When you look at what they've accomplished over this run, it's a celebration of the greatest fans in college football. It just shows you what this team means to this state. It brings everybody together every weekend on the year. And that's one of my favorite things after games to do is to go on social media and see all the pictures of people that I know that tailgate, that get together, that see one another, that without Nebraska football, some of these meetings and encounters would never even happen.
That's a nice sentiment, Sean. I didn't even know you did that. That's a nice thing to do. It all started on November 3rd, 1962. 1962 against Missouri was when this all started. And it is an incredible streak. We're not doing that thing now, though, where we're kind of murmuring under our breath, this isn't really a sellout. You're not seeing unused tickets laying on the sidewalk as you did at times. I'd say Riley era, Frost era. No, it will be a celebration. But here's the thing I always think about. I mean, I'm very bottom line oriented, as you know. The crowd means a lot in a game like this. It is really helpful at night when that crowd is like it has been this year. It will give Nebraska, I said the other day on our show, I'd say it's a 6-point advantage. Because the defense thrives off of it so much, and it gets so intensely loud for the opponent to deal with. Luke Altmaier is the Illinois quarterback. He'll have his hands full. Shedeur had his hands full. Shedeur Sanders, and so there's a big benefit, and I commend Nebraska. God, all right, I'll calm down here, but I do commend Nebraska fans for how they whip themselves into a frenzy, and I hope they understand how much it helps the home team.
Well, and to give you an idea, there is a great demand for this game. I'm on SeatGeek right now, and that's the primary ticket partner, the verified ticket partner of the university.
Mm-hmm.
The cheapest available pair, and there's only one pair with fees included, is $135 a ticket. Cheapest.
Interesting.
That's the get in. But it quickly jumps to over $150, and that's row 78, by the way. It's not.
I got you.
If you want to sit in good seats, you're $250 to $500 a ticket with fees included. So this is a hot ticket. There's a lot of people that have made accommodations in their lives to get to Lincoln, Nebraska for this game on Friday night.
I'm glad that Sellout 400 has that sort of meaning to people. That there's a meaningful game that's in a meaningful season in which the head coach himself has attached expectation to the season. And that's partly why there's so much energy for this game. I mean, I commend, I'm doing a lot of commending here, but I really like that Rule has attached expectations to this, his second year. He has a team with an average age of 22 years on the defensive side and an offensive line with an average age of 22.6. This is a veteran team. He knows he has to, there's some urgency. Let's get these guys, let's get these veteran players a season that everyone can remember forever, because it's a pretty good team. One other thing, Sean.
And here's that ticket, Matt, by the way.
God bless you. You heard Ed Foley last night on statewide radio say something fascinating to me, that he feels some pressure as a special teams coach because he sees the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball playing at near championship level. I don't know if that's the case, but I like the sound of Ed Foley feeling pressure not to drag the program back. And listen, it all relates back to Sellout 400. This Sellout 400 is seen an important game in the rise of the Rule program. It's an important game because you want more tangible evidence that's going the right way.
I'm just fascinated too, just how early like the pregame festivities begin down here.
It will be early.
Will it be noon? 2?
I don't know.
Like, how early will it get going down here? I mean, because we get down here, I always get down here early for every game, and especially you start to see people really get going. But will it be a later arriving crowd?
I don't know, because it doesn't happen. We don't have much.
No other case study, but I will say in 2001. That was sold out too completely. And they were number 1 in the country in 2001.
Yeah, a little different.
Playing Rice.
Yeah, it was really strange circumstance.
And it was a 6 p.m. game.
Yes.
It was early. So that was hard for people from Omaha and whatnot to get down here in Kearney or Grand Island or wherever you're coming from. It was not easy to get.
Sean, I don't know how to predict what the scene's going to be because I don't have a frame of reference.
I will say, though, I expect Troy Dannon, Brandon Meyer, and all the staging and management of the event crew to be on the top of their game. I think
they have been.
You will see a show put on in this stadium to commemorate 400. And if I'm Troy Dan, I'm telling Brandon Meyer and this team, I'm like, hey, we are on Fox. This is a historic day for our state, our program. Put on a show. Make people around the country remember this night and what it is.
Yeah, there's some pressure. I mean, there's always pressure on the team. There is. But there are there's pressure on that group of people. For sure.
I mean, you hope that the frequency issues that grounded the drones last week. You okay there, Sip?
Yeah, I don't know what I got. The water that
got
went
a COVID test if you want to.
No, the water went down the wrong tube. Sean, the frequency test that you are really, really drone oriented. I don't think that ruined the night at all.
It didn't ruin the night. It did not ruin the night, but I would.
You wanted those drones so bad. You were so disappointed.
I had one of the guys tied to and he thanked us for what we've said about the show. He goes, Sipple kind of poo-poos us, but
he didn't say that.
He didn't say, I
don't believe he said
that. Bait you.
Because I don't poo-poo the drones. I love the drones. But it didn't mar the night. What I'm getting at here is the scene in that stadium in the first two games has been magnificent. Magnificent.
I envision, by the way, the drones like doing like a stadium emblem and then like a big 400 going in it. I mean, I'm calling my shot now. There's going to be.
I guarantee you're the only one calling your shot on the drones.
You're gonna get like a postcard image of 400.
Okay,
you're gonna get a stadium kind of layout.
You think a stadium layout with drones,
and then they'll put the 400 on there, and it will be a postcard. I mean, look at that. That's a postcard
you have
in
thought
itself.
This out.
And you put the 400 drone thing right behind that.
Okay.
I mean, they're selling that picture for 100 years.
Yep. It's not a bad idea, Sean. It's a good idea. Look at that scene. Don't take this for granted because it doesn't happen hardly anywhere. This scene that they've created for night games at Memorial Stadium is unlike anything I've ever seen.
How did they not think of this earlier?
Don't say that.
You just wonder, I
think modern technology.
I think the bells and the whistles. But that scoreboard or the Husker vision in the end zone, they're going to replace that eventually. I mean, that thing is kind of on its last legs.
Yeah.
It went out was it the Colorado game for part of the quarter?
Yeah, it was.
It's a 2006 screen.
Uh-huh. But yeah, the way they light up the stadium and, what we're talking about mainly is during the third quarter break. And that is a scene you don't want to miss. I mean, it's amazing.
It's our jump around here. I mean, I think everyone's like, oh, why can't Nebraska have like a version of jump around? Well, they figured it out. They've got one now, and they've made it unique.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't copy somebody else. They came up with this on their own. Yep. So props, and I'm excited for what that's going to be. All right, before we go to headline number 3, HuskerOnline headlines brought to you by Ellerbrock-Norris. They've been helping Nebraska business owners protect their purpose for over 120 years with risk management solutions built for local businesses. Ellerbrock-Norris partners with you on commercial insurance, group benefits, business exit planning, safety, and more. Start thinking long-term with your business and create a risk management strategy to protect it. Are your employee benefit costs going through the roof? Talk to Ellerbrock. Are workplace injuries skyrocketing your workers' compensation costs? Talk to Ellerbrock. Hoping to retire in the next 10 years to sell the business to family, key employees, or even a friendly competitor? Talk to Ellerbrock. Ellerbrock-Norris is helping you protect your purpose, whether it's your business and the employees in it, your life outside of work, or your future retirement goals. Head to ellerbrock-norris.com/HuskerOnline today to get your free risk evaluation. Thank you to Ellerbrock-Norris for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Okay, headline number 3. This will be the biggest test yet for quarterback Dylan Raiola. And Steve, he's been, I called you Steve, by the way, Steven.
Wow.
Sip, whatever you like to be called. He's been nearly perfect. And this is kind of a snapshot of how perfect he's been. He's 24 of 24 on his passes beyond the line of scrimmage for 117 yards. A perfect 24 of 24.
On what passes?
On passes that are behind the line of scrimmage, like the short screens, swings. Then you take it another step on passes that are 10 yards or less. He is, 16 of 17.
Wow.
So on throws that are 10 yards or less, he has only incompleted one pass of about 40.
That's precision.
That's pretty good.
That's precision. Now, the reason you're saying this is his biggest test is there's a couple reasons. First of all, the personnel for Illinois will be strong. They're not as good up front as Illinois is not as good up front as it was last year. It lost a second-round draft pick. But the reason this will really test Dylan, or could really test Dylan, is Aaron Henry. is the defensive coordinator. Illinois has been a man coverage team, and that was it. They just played man. Now they don't. Now they mix in zone, and they disguise it incredibly well. All of his reads, according to Marcus Satterfield, will have to occur post snap because they disguise it so well. Sean, you played football. You understand this. Usually an offense, there's things they can do pre-snap to ascertain whether it's zone or man. Put a guy in motion.
A simple motion, and how the motion is accounted for.
Right. Apparently, Illinois disguises it so well, in part because it's a veteran crew in the secondary, that they don't show what they're doing. So it's post-snap. It's scary because they have 6 interceptions. So they'll play some zone. You usually don't get a lot of interceptions in man anyway. Your interceptions come in zone coverage, generally.
Unless you have safeties back and a ball gets tipped and a safety's able to pick a ball.
Right. So sometimes that'll happen. But so Dylan has to be super careful. He's throwing in to a veteran secondary. They're savvy guys. Again, Illinois already has 6 interceptions. Illinois is +8 in the turnover category. 9 turnovers forced, 1 committed. That is a huge stat going into this game. Turnovers are a huge stat in every game, some more important than others. For instance, Sean, I think Nebraska could have gone -2 in turnovers against UNI and been okay. If you go -2 in this game, playing with fire. You're just really playing with fire.
Because Illinois only has, I believe, 1 turnover on the year. And it's
one turnover,
it's a fumble. And Nebraska has 2, a fumble and a pick. But Luke Altmaier has not thrown a pick.
No, 9. They forced 9 and committed 1.
And Nebraska has forced 5 and committed 2.
So Nebraska's +3, which is good for Nebraska. It's big when I'm talking about turnovers and being -2 perhaps, because it could be the type of game that you and I wanted to beat Nebraska with, which was limiting possessions for Nebraska. Nebraska only ran 48 plays. Bielema's going to come in here and try to get them in position to win in the fourth quarter. Now, will he pound away on the ground like you and I did, like Northern Iowa did? I don't know, but it's interesting because it's similar in that Illinois starts a running back in Caden Fegan, who's 6'3", 250. They also bring in a guy named Josh McCray, who's 6'1", 235. Now, they do have a speed guy in Khalil Valentine, 5'11", 190. But do you see the similarity? You and I, Northern Iowa, attacked Nebraska with those big backs. I wouldn't be surprised if Bielema tries it too.
For Northern Iowa, though, to win this game, they're going to have
Illinois,
to get Raiola off kilter. Like, they're going to have to disrupt him. And frustrate him. And that's not been done by anyone all year.
No, this could be the time, though. This is a growth game. This could be a big growth game for Dylan. Like, it's different. Now the players are going to look different, bigger, stronger than anything he's seen this year. They didn't look like that against UTEP. They did not look like that against Colorado. They did not look like that against UNI. Now here comes the big boy football. Let's see what that looks like.
Yeah, they're going to come at him with lots of blitzes, I would imagine.
Length, blitzes, more speed, more size.
Well, and the running game, too, for Nebraska, can Dante Dowdell give them a physical running presence? And then
I think he can.
And will they go – and will Ramir Johnson and Emmett Johnson, can they provide those matchup issues they provide? Because I do think that's become one of the staples of this offense are those 2 backs and their ability to create matchup issues in the passing game.
Well, we are kind of confused by Mark Farley's comments after the game when Farley was asked Farley's to
compliment Raiola,
the Northern Iowa coach. Yeah, Farley was kind of teed up a question to compliment Raiola, and he instead said the running back is what hurt us most, and it was sort of hard to understand which running back are you talking about. I think he was talking about Emmett, because Emmett caught a couple key passes early in that game, and one was a 17-yard gain. I think he was talking about Emmett Johnson.
Again, though, I think that Raiola's ability to get it out in the correct places plays a big factor in those plays.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I know what you're talking about because you talk about it in the press box. Those passes have to be precise. They have to catch the guy on the run, or it doesn't
It's
really.
like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
When you see that ball come out and the timing of the guy catching in stride and going.
Catching in stride's critical. Bill Callahan used to emphasize that.
And Ja'Cory Barney is really close to breaking something.
He is. God, that begs a question, though. This is big boy football now. Those young guys got to be ready. Are they ready for this? Like, is Carter Nelson ready for this? Is Ja'Cory Barney ready for this?
And I don't know what it is about Illinois, but they have always been one of the hardest hitting teams Nebraska plays.
Yeah.
Like, especially when Lovie Smith was
You're
there.
right.
Like,
God, you're right.
There used to just be safeties
vicious.
That just, I mean, it was violence.
Vicious hits.
And Adrian Martinez would get in Wandell. And I mean, you just think about some of the hits.
I do remember. I remember that game. I remember that game out there in Champaign. It was vicious. They hammered that kid from Minneapolis. What was his name? Their little
JD Spielman.
Yes, JD Spielman. Hammered him a few times, and JD kept getting up. Yes. And then the other thing to know about Illinois, why is this a big test for Dylan? Why is it a big test for Nebraska? Think about Illinois recent past. In Bielema's first year there, they went to Penn State and won in 9 overtimes. That was a good Penn State team. The next year, they went to Wisconsin and won on the road. They've done this. They're kind of it seems like they're pretty good in these situations.
And this is the third time they've played Nebraska on a Friday.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
It's been an interesting series between these two teams and how it's kind of parked itself on Friday nights.
Big test for Dylan, big test for everybody.
Okay, before we go to headline number 4, HuskerOnline Headlines brought to you by HelloFresh. You're so busy with life. Sometimes it's hard to grocery shop. Sometimes it's hard to cook. You come home, you're like, what am I going to make for dinner? I don't even know what I'm going to make. I have no idea. My kids are hungry. They're tired of me making tacos and spaghetti or macaroni and cheese every single meal. HelloFresh has you covered because you have the ability on their website to pick 2, 3, 4 meals a week, whatever the number is you want to do, lunch, dinners for 2 people, for 4 people. And then they give you all the fresh ingredients you need, the produce, the meat, the seasonings, all the stuff. Sometimes you want to make a recipe at home and you realize, oh man, I'm missing that one exotic spice.
You just run over to Hy-Vee.
You go over and spend $8 at Hy-Vee on one spice that you need that you'll never use again. And I mean, trust me.
You're very cost conscious, Sean. I appreciate it.
Well, HelloFresh, they not only you get all the spices, you get a recipe card. In a lot of these meals, you can cook in 20 to 30 minutes. Everything's done, ready to go. And it's different. It's fun. And they deliver it right to your door each week. And we've got a deal for our HuskerOnline viewers. We're going to give you free breakfast for life. And you're already going to get a lot of deals bundled into your first couple of orders. But you use the code FREEHUSKER at HelloFresh, and you'll get free breakfast with your order for life. At HelloFresh.com. And it's great. You can get oatmeal, egg bites, lots of different breakfast items that you can choose from every single week. That's promo code FREEHUSKER at HelloFresh.com for free breakfast for life. Thank you, HelloFresh, for sponsoring us on the HuskerOnline Headline Show. Okay, let's go into headline number 4. Nebraska will get some players back this week. Not only will Jamari Butler and Mekhi Bayer be back in the starting lineup for the black shirt defense, but Matt Rule said here on Wednesday that offensive lineman Micah Mazuka is now available and will dress. He will not start, but you get the sense we could see Micah Mazuka now playing this game against Illinois as well.
Yeah, that's definitely something to watch because he's arguably Nebraska's best lineman.
Now, Michael Severe challenged me on this.
Would you say Ben Scott?
No, he says, where are you getting that from? Because he felt like in the Colorado game, he didn't look like their best. And that was his pushback to it. And Michael, I know, listens to our shows. And Michael's diligent. He watches these things closely. And he felt like in the Colorado game, there were points where he didn't look great in the second half. But I'm going off the body of work, the Baylor, the Florida, and kind of what we have seen at least early at times.
So he's just so powerful. I mean, he's got to be their most
especially
powerful.
In the first half of Colorado, the way those runs were popping on the inside.
Yeah, but anyway, this is good news. I don't think it was good to have that cloud lingering over the team. People were asking me, so many people asked me, what's the deal with Mazuka? So what's the deal with Mizuko? What's the deal with
And that's
Mizuko?
the nature of Nebraska fans. That's why we have jobs. There's a craving for the information.
There's a craving, and also just kind of
the drama too.
Yeah.
People love the drama.
Well,
Just like if there's
Sean,
any kind of drama, they want to know what it is.
I think though, Sean, it's more wholesome than that in this case. Again, I think Nebraska fans sense this thing is rolling. It's in the early stages of getting back, and anything that holds it back, they get nervous about. And I think so. I think it was less about drama and less about gossip and more about, God dang it, he's a good player and we know it and we need him.
Well, and
I think it's more about that.
Everybody knows the deal with Micah. I mean, he's a hard-edged, no-nonsense Philly guy.
Yep. I think that helps him as a player. I think he'll, you know what else? I think he'll help him get in the NFL. I think he's an NFL player.
And Matt Rule is a no-nonsense, hard-edged, New York City, Philly type guy.
Smart, though.
Donovan Raiola is a hard-edged Polynesian.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Sometimes emotions can get to people.
Yeah. So
whether it's the player, I mean, the player could do something. I mean, who knows what happened?
The bottom line is this is big. And I'll tell you, Sean, I was in Fremont speaking to a group as we do. And Robin or Carter had sent a group, isn't on a group text we have, that Rule said Mizuko would be back. And before I left, this was around 1. My speech ended at 1. And I waited. They had to do a couple things. I waited to tell everybody, hey, just found out. Rule told everybody, told the media that Mizuko was back. And there was a cheer in the room. There was a cheer in the room. Yeah, people
love it.
Yeah, people are happy. I mean, and again, I think that's more about, come on, nothing. Let's not have anything.
Well, the margin is so little.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, this is not 1995 Nebraska.
Right.
I mean, each little thing matters for this team.
Yeah,
it does.
So having him available,
Jamari Butler back, Mekhi Bayer back, and Tony Butler made a great point.
Tony White.
Why I say Tony? Tony White made a great point about those guys, that they bring some personality, edge.
He said they bring edginess, and they do. Bayer has played exceptionally well. 11 tackles in his 2.5 games, but just exceptional. He's just exceptional in the box. He flies around. He does bring you something. He's very reliable. And then Butler, I mean, I wonder what Michael, our friend Michael Severe, would say about. I think he's got to be close to an NFL level player at this point. He's made some plays, and it's, but I do think it's edginess. I think it's just this having that threesome together, Ty, and the polar bear, and Butler. It's just good to have those three ready to roll.
And this is a great way to measure his impact. So Pro Football Focus, they call it a stop tackle, and it's a tackle where you kind of win the down. It's an individual great play, and he's second on Nebraska's team with 7 stop tackles. Bayer.
Oh, Bayer. Okay, we're talking about Bayer. Okay,
and John Bullock's number 1 with 9, but John Bullock has played 131 snaps compared to 75 for Bayer.
Okay, well, that's good. You want your inside linebackers to be making stop tackles for sure.
But yeah, Jamari Butler, his presence, I felt it was missing a little bit against Northern Iowa.
I did too.
And some people you talk to will tell you the Northern Iowa game was just what this team needed, because Northern Iowa came out hungry, and they played their butts off.
They did. They came out ready for a fist fight up front, and that's what this game is. That's what Marcus Satterfield said. It'll be a fist fight in the trenches, and it's a fist fight. If you would just, Sean, do yourself a favor and just take about 5 plays and watch what the line of scrimmage is like in this game. You and I aren't coming out of that alive. I mean, it's a war up front, and those guys are ready. Nebraska's got guys that are ready for it.
Well, and I love the depth of this defense. I mean, I said this on your show today. There's 28 guys on this team that have played 21 or more snaps on the defense
this year.
Yeah,
this year.
Excuse me, 30. It's 30. 30 players that played 21 or more snaps.
Wow, that's building depth, and that's building a program.
I mean, okay, to give you an idea how deep that goes, Elijah Judy, who you would maybe consider a frontline name, is on the bottom of that list. He's only played 21 snaps all year.
That's surprising. Well, it's not bad.
I mean, it just tells you what they built here.
Yeah.
Like if I would have told you Dylan Parrott has played more snaps than Elijah Judy, you would
surprising.
Keona Davis has played more snaps than Elijah Judy.
Remember though. Oh God, I about did it. I'm going to stop myself from going back to Belton, Texas.
You going to recap the Terrence Knighton conversation from Belton, Texas for the 8th time on the show?
He told us, watch Keona. Watch that big Polynesian.
Squeeze that lemon dry, Steve Sipple. You got so much out of that.
But how about Keona Davis, though? How about him routinely coming in games that are undecided, Sean, as a true freshman defensive lineman? And by the way, I don't know about without his helmet. With his helmet, you'd never guess true freshman. I mean, look at that. Look at the stats.
No, he was a late take.
And
they made room for him. So, you know, Willis McGahee's another guy. He's played 37 snaps. He's 16th on the defensive snap.
Guy we didn't even talk about much in the offseason, McGahee.
Then it ticks up. You have James Williams at 47, Jamari Butler at 57. And Jamari Butler missed a game, so his number's a little misleading in there. But, you know, Nash Hutmacher, they've really been able to manage him. He's only played 83 snaps in 3 games.
It's a good amount, though. I mean, It's a when I say good amount, it means they're not overusing him.
Where like you go back to the Ireland year, Colton Feast played like 70 some snaps against Northwestern.
One game. Again, this is a better managed program. I don't mind. Of course it is. Everybody's seeing it. I'm telling you, Sean, I think that explains a lot of the excitement. People are smart here. They follow this program closely. That's an example. You just gave a great example of better management. Nash Hutmacher playing 80-some snaps through 3 games versus Colton Feast playing 70 in 1 game. Come on, that's just you're managing your personnel better.
Here, I'll give you the exact number. I take that back. It was 63 against
that's
Northwestern.
Still a lot. That's still a lot.
Yeah, like through 3 games, Colton Feast was 98 plus 48. He was like 145 snaps through 3 games.
3 games. Yeah, geez.
And Nash Hutmacher right now is, you know, far below that.
Now Colton's a tough guy. If you asked him to play every single play, he'd do it. But that's not the way to manage personnel.
And that's I think when you talk about new age college football versus like the old school days, like, you know, when Sue was here, he played every snap.
Well, that's a little different.
Crick played every snap.
Yeah,
they didn't come off the field. Bo didn't sub on defense.
Not much.
Very little.
I'd have to look back to see if Crick.
I think just the way the game's evolved, subbing is necessary. Like, go back and look at Michigan last year, how much they subbed.
Oh, yeah. They were using 9 guys in the interior D line
all year.
Yeah.
And they blew out everybody. So they developed a program that way. But before I take it to headline number 5, I want to tell you about Homefield Athletic Apparel. It is a premium college football apparel brand based in Indianapolis, and they really are, if you like unique stuff, if you want to get something and like, I don't want to have the same polo shirt or quarter zip that everybody's wearing in the stadium. I want something kind of cool that fits my personality. Go to Homefield. They've got a ton of great custom, unique options, the throwback vintage looks, all the stuff. And volleyball, whatever, not just football things are on there, basketball. And they have other teams. You can pick any team you want at Homefield, but you look at all this stuff. It's premium. It's unique. It's going to wash well. It's going to wear well. And we've got a great deal for our Husker Online listeners and viewers here. We are going to give you 15% off at homefieldapparel.com. You need to use the promo code Husker24 at homefieldapparel.com. That's for 15% off. And take advantage of that on your first order of Homefield to get 15% off. Thank you again to Homefield for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Headline Show. Okay, let's take it into our final headline. Headline number 5, odds and ends. I want to start with this because Tennessee announced a new line item to their ticket invoicing. Season ticket holders starting next year will have an upcharge of 10% called talent fee to help pay for the increase in NIL revenues and money that the athletic department's going to need to come up with. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, this is cutting edge because they're the first one to do it that I know of.
Danny White, by the way, good AD.
Danny White, a cutting edge move to take advantage of, I would call it an incredible time in Tennessee athletics. They think about just last I mean, I just anecdotally off the top of my head, Tennessee football is rolling right now. 15 straight sellouts. Okay, 15 straight sellouts, and that's 101,000 people. Okay, think who won the CWS this year? Tennessee. Elite Eight for Rick Barnes' his basketball program. I think softball may have won the national title too. I mean, he's kind of capitalizing, and Tennessee looks like a playoff team right now.
Big game for them this weekend, by the way. They play. Josh Heupel faces off against Oklahoma, who fired him.
Right, and I wouldn't be surprised if they put a number on Oklahoma.
Nico, the quarterback there,
yeah,
is good. Like
yes.
he's a big time quarterback.
So this is an interesting line item as you refer to it. It's. I mean, they're capitalizing a little bit on their recent success, which is smart. It's just a smart move by Danny White. Here's why. And we talk about this stuff. There's going to be $22 million that you can allocate to student athletes.
It will go up every year.
Yeah. Now it's actually 30 the first year because you're going to add scholarships. So add $8 million for scholarships. So 30 million. That's what we're talking about. And it does go up incrementally every year. I don't know. I said incrementally. It's going to go up. I think the first year actually is going to be a pretty big jump.
2 million.
Yeah.
Increase.
Okay. So anyway, yeah. So, I mean, Nebraska's got to think about stuff like this. They got to continue to be creative in thinking of ways to generate revenue without being obtuse about it.
Well, the House versus NCAA thing, though, still has not gone through like that. So this may not happen next year. Like it's a matter of how much faster they can get it through, but that has not happened.
Not officially.
No, it's
going to happen.
No, it got stopped in its tracks. Like there's a lot of things that need to get ironed out.
Well, the judge has to come to understand it, I think, is what it somewhat comes down to.
And, there's a lot of things about how you pay these players. Are they employees? And
it's coming.
I mean, there's a lot
collective bargaining. I've heard Troy Dannon talk about it. Collective bargaining is an inevitability.
Explain that to a guy from South Omaha.
I can't explain collective bargaining.
I mean, you speak so authoritatively about. I just when people talk, like, what does that mean?
I don't have.
Like the players have negotiation power.
It's probably South. That's
you teed it up like you were like gonna.
Well, I heard Troy Dannon talk about it.
This is where we need Parker Gabriel.
Collective bargaining is an inevitability. In fact, in the ESPN story about this topic, it referred to collective bargaining as an inevitability. So yes.
Okay, here's what collective bargaining means.
Do it.
A negotiation process between employers and employees to establish the terms and conditions of employment.
You got it. You pretty much got it.
So a players union, essentially.
Yeah. Yes. Union is a
but how
tricky
do you
word,
differentiate conference by conference?
Well, we don't have to go down that road. I don't know how you do it. It's tricky.
And how about
I would say it's the rich getting richer. But in this world, if you think about it, it can be very volatile. Like Texas Tech softball has a billionaire donor who bought a great pitcher. So it's not just necessarily the rich getting richer. It's someone poor that could get rich just sort of on the whim of a rich person, like Texas Tech softball. They went and got the premier pitcher in the country.
Texas Tech?
Yeah, Texas Tech. They don't have a softball program worth noting, but now they do because of a very well-to-do donor.
Well, and theoretically, Nebraska was going to have that happen before Jordy Ball got hurt.
100.
All right, I want to stay on odds and ends. Another thing I want to hit on, Florida State and Clemson, the ACC leaked a report.
Ooh, didn't know this. What are you telling me?
And essentially, they leaked the report. Somebody from the ACC leaked it to Ross Dellinger. And Ross Dellinger is like the guy you leak all these things to. I mean, he is the authority of all this reporting on these conference things. But an amended media rights agreement where you would get paid based on your value and the ratings and your winning in both football, and then they threw in basketball as well.
Okay.
And if that were to happen, Florida State right now gets about 7% of the value of the deal, but their actual value to that contract is 15%.
Okay.
And that's what they want. They want Florida State and Clemson want 15% of the total value of the ACC media rights deal because they bring in that much each school. And that's what this could theoretically do. But is it really going to play out like that? And that's where, I think some of it is Florida State may not have an option at this point to go to.
Well, that's the 0-3 start for Florida State couldn't have really come at a worse time. I mean, because they're talking so much about their value sort of exceeding what they can incur in the ACC, and they need to get to a better conference to realize their full potential and value. Well, now they're 0-3. So what are you looking at? Like, you look at Florida State, like, what are you bringing now? How and what are you going to do this year? Are you going to spin out of this or not?
And they made a bad pick in the portal at quarterback.
Yeah, that's part of the reason for sure. DJU will call him because neither of us can pronounce his last name.
He came from Clemson, where he started to replace Trevor Lawrence. Then he went to Oregon State, had success there, but
he's not a fit for some reason.
He's overweight. I've talked to somebody at Tallahassee, and he said he's probably 30 pounds overweight.
Ooh, that's interesting because I've watched
this
him
is coming from a firsthand account.
Well, I'm not an idiot.
Like right next to him.
Yeah, I'm not an idiot. He doesn't look that overweight to me.
And he's somewhat disconnected.
He looks disconnected. I'll buy that.
He lives in the suburbs of Tallahassee, away from the team. It's a business deal. And that's what this era has brought to college football.
That can be a problem. Like
Casey Thompson, I mean, he was fine, but that always felt more like a business move for him to come here. But
Sean, you would agree that some of the business deals work out just fine.
They can.
Yeah. I mean, it's not all DJU. I mean, but he looks really disconnected on the field. I've watched him twice. And that's the thing that strikes me.
And they play 3-0 Cal this weekend.
Oh God. Yeah. They just lost to Memphis. The stadium was empty at the end.
Well, it's being renovated, so it's already empty. Like even the press,
some of it,
they're limited on their seats because the press box is being
I'm sorry I took issue with you on the weight. I just don't see it. I watched.
I mean, this is not my words. This is coming from somebody that's there around the team.
Trust me at a higher level. I've watched him. He's not
bad. I'm going to go with somebody that's there.
He's not
over
bad.
you.
He's not overweight. He looks fine. He just looks
over you who can't remember your suitcase on a trip. Okay. And then finally, I want to hit
That'll be enough out of you.
Big Ten games because it's a great weekend of games. I mean, we play Friday here, so it's going to be awesome on Saturday just to have the ability to watch so many great Big Ten games. And for future viewing purposes, Purdue, Oregon State. I'm interested in that.
Future viewing.
I want to see how Purdue bounces back.
Okay, Purdue versus who?
Oregon State.
Okay, that's not bad.
I want to see Rutgers against Virginia Tech.
Now you went from a C level game to an A level.
Well, these are future Nebraska opponents.
Yeah. No, that's a big game. Rutgers, Virginia Tech, I'd almost call must see if you're a Nebraska fan.
And then my under the radar game, Villanova at Maryland. Villanova is a top 5 FCS team.
Okay, that's way under the radar.
Well, it's a 17.5-point line.
Mm-hmm.
But that one, it's just interesting to me.
Tell me how that one goes, Sean.
Well,
keep going.
We could see an FCS team push Maryland. I think they could push them. I'll eat crow if I'm wrong there.
Keep rolling.
You got USC, Michigan. That's the big one.
Oh God, that's A+.
The Rose Bowl on CBS.
Yeah, and how about Michigan replaced their quarterback already? How badly has Sharon Moore mismanaged the quarterback situation? I mean, how much worse could you have done? Where you have an August competition with Davis Warren and Alex Orji. You name Davis Warren the quarterback. He's basically a disaster. 2 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions. And now you've turned to the guy that you said was the second teamer. You couldn't have done much worse with it.
What killed Michigan too is because of winning the national title and then the Harbaugh departure, they really didn't have the ability to go in the portal in December.
Why?
Because they're playing for a national championship.
Yeah, they made a mistake.
But how? At that point,
how do you do it? You're
JJ
right.
McCarthy, they didn't know it was going to go pro.
That's a good point.
So they couldn't really
quarterback.
They couldn't really get a portal quarterback.
God.
And if they would have known all these things that were going to happen, Kyle McCord would probably be at Michigan or somebody like that would be there.
Kyle McCord, that would be fascinating. Okay, could an Ohio State quarterback go to Michigan? I don't know.
It'd be like a hostage exchange. I mean,
yes, it would. Don't do that to me. That hurt my ribs. I don't know about Kyle McCord, but somebody. But you're right. Probably just couldn't do it. There's so much turmoil there too.
Well, even Sam Levitt would look great at Michigan right
Would
now.
he look great? Yeah.
Sam Levitt's undefeated at Arizona State.
Michigan State.
He's at Arizona State now.
Yeah, they'd probably go somewhere other than their most heated rival.
Okay, Cam Ward.
A lot of guys.
If Michigan knows they're going to need a quarterback, and by the way, we just won the national championship. We've got boosters galore.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go buy Cam Ward.
Yeah, 100.
They would have been able to do it.
Could they get Dylan Gabriel?
Yeah, I mean, Michigan, if they would have known, they could have gotten anybody they wanted.
Not anybody, but yes,
well,
they could pay a lot of money.
Selling a national championship in a pro system.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. I said Dylan Gabriel, but if you think about it, if you're Dylan Gabriel, you might prefer Oregon. You might prefer all that speed on the perimeter, that offense to Michigan.
McCord at Michigan would be really dangerous.
That would look good.
Because McCord's been unreal at Syracuse.
Yeah, that looks good. That he fits that system really well.
All right, Northwestern at Washington. That will be interesting to see. Washington's favored by 10.5.
Let me know how that one goes.
You're not going to watch that one. That's the FS1 night game. UCLA at LSU.
Yes, I just can UCLA hang with them at all? Can they hang with them at all? It's
a 2:30 game in Baton Rouge. Do you understand what kind of heat and humidity will probably be there for that game?
Yeah, and think about it.
And you're from LA.
Think about what UCLA comes off of. Indiana just whooped them in the Rose Bowl. 42-13.
2:30 in the Bayou.
Hot. Can UCLA come within 21 points of LSU?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
I didn't even put that game on our picks.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Because I knew we'd all go one way.
I haven't done our picks yet.
Iowa, Minnesota, the over-under is 36 points. The Hawkeyes
that's a good game.
The Hawkeyes are a 3-point favorite.
That's a big one. That's a huge rivalry game, as you know. Minnesota has back-to-back shutouts. The first time since 1962. That was a Rose Bowl, Minnesota.
I think Iowa wins that game.
Okay.
Do you think Iowa's going to
win? It just seems like a pick'em game to me. Just seems like a pick'em game.
Kicking will be big in that game.
It's a big game for Fleck. Fleck's program is slid.
And Michigan State will play at Boston College. And by the way,
pretty good.
Boston College, have they not played like the hardest schedule to start the season?
I mean, pretty hard.
They've played Missouri, they've played Florida State, and now they'll play Michigan State.
That's really rough.
It's like they're scheduling like they're in 1990 again.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But Boston College, a 6.5-point favorite. I think they win that game in Chestnut Hill.
Yeah, I do too.
And then lastly, I mentioned Purdue, Oregon State. It's a 6-point spread for Oregon State over Purdue. That's a low line.
It is.
I could see Oregon State winning by more than 6.
I could too. Yeah. I mean, the Purdue giving up 66 to Notre Dame on its home field is.
What's the better scenario for Nebraska? Oregon State hammers Purdue, and then they are really desperate when Nebraska comes, or Purdue wins or plays competitively?
No, former. Oregon State hammering Purdue would be good for Nebraska.
And then there's a lot of dissension,
just doubt, lack of confidence, beaten down. No, if you're a Nebraska fan, you don't want to see Purdue hanging in there and winning that game. No, you don't. Because then there's a rejuvenation of confidence.
And that's going to be 11 a.m. game out there. So for noon Eastern, but 11.
Interesting game. That's an interesting game to see if Purdue can come back.
But it's a great weekend. It's a great weekend for Nebraska to be playing on Friday because you'll be able to watch that. And the SEC,
Michigan USC's must-see TV.
Well, then you have SEC games too. I mean, there's a lot of big SEC games.
Yeah, it's beautiful. College football, for all the sort of off-season turmoil that we talk about all the time, when it gets to the season, the popularity seems like it's growing almost to me. It's amazing. All
right. Well, we'll be on post-game live show probably around midnight because we're later this week. It's 7:00 this week for 6:30
midnight.
But we'll shoot for midnight. We were able to get on 11:45 last week, depending on how the game flows. But plan to be on for HuskerOnline post-game live to talk Nebraska, Illinois. For Steve Sipple, I'm Sean Callahan signing off for HuskerOnline Headlines.